What Would You Do? The game is 95% good and 5% terrible, diabolical. What were they thinking? This is a Disney educational short from 1969. It's directed by Les Clark and written by Bill Berg. And the What Would You Do series presents children in different situations where they're tasked with making the right decision or the wrong decisions. And this one is based on a baseball game, and one of the kids bats and he's out, but he's determined to convince the others he's not out. He should still be able to play. And obviously, the children have to try and work out what they can do to resolve this because they're bickering and fighting, and it looks like they're not going to carry on playing unless they come up with a solution. Now, the solution should be shut up, play by the rules, you're out, now get out. That might be blunt, but that is the only solution. There's no point in coming up with ways of working around it. They should have just, it would have been a short cartoon, even shorter than the 6 minutes, but if you're out, that's it. Game over for you. There's no coming up with a solution to work around it. It is simple as that. You play by the rules or you don't play at all. And they never really took the time to show this message and deliver that. And instead, they're trying to problem solve a way to work around the rules to make everybody happy, but that's not how it works. And they did try at one point, and I guess this is a spoiler for something that happens, but they did try at one point to play without any rules. And immediately I thought, that's a terrible idea. But thankfully they did show that that just descended into chaos. Playing without rules is not a good idea because it's a free-for-all and everybody can do what they want, and that doesn't work. So that would have been a good opportunity for the children to go, actually, you know what, rules are important. It was 3 strikes and I was out. I will obey the rules. And that's not what happened. And instead, and this is just disgusting because it proves something that I think is horrific, at the end, the children just said, oh, well, we haven't got a solution. I guess I'll just think about it some more. The end. That's it. So there's no advice. There's nothing that they can take away from this other than apparently if you do 3 strikes and you're out, you can just say, no, I'm not, and then have a 6-minute long discussion about why that's not the case. So I said at the beginning, this is 95% good and 5% terrible. I don't think that's the case now that I'm talking more through it. I like the idea that they're encouraging problem solving, and I will talk about that 5% in a moment. But I like that they're encouraging problem solving. They're encouraging open communication. That's the bit that I think is brilliant. And the animation that goes with it is really fun. We have some pretty ghastly colour washes at certain points. But in general, the animation of the characters, that all looks really good. So I have a lot of praise for that. And anything that encourages children to think about the consequences of their actions is fantastic. For example, one of the children suggested, let's play without any rules. They then got to see the consequences unfold, and it gives them that ability to have that foresight of what would happen if they suggested things that were perhaps not ideal for the situation. So I completely praise it for that. Yes, at the end of the day, they should have just said, 3 strikes, you're out, stop twisting, stop whining, stop complaining, it's over for you. But they didn't. That's not the message they went with. And again, I realised that would have been a very short cartoon without allowing the message of what would you do in this situation. So once I kind of got over that fact, I could see it as a positive cartoon. But the last 5 minutes, as I briefly touched upon, are horrific. Genuinely, the children just went, I think I'll need to give it more thought. So the cartoon didn't pose any solutions. What the cartoon said is that the fully grown adults working on this cartoon could not come up with a solution to the problem. So how do they expect children to be able to do that? If they're shown that fully grown adults can't resolve this in the cartoon, how on earth do they expect 7, 8, 9-year-olds to be able to resolve this in real life? What a horrendous, disgusting message. That's terrible. How is that going to instill any kind of confidence in children if people 20, 30 plus years their senior can't resolve this unless they just couldn't be bothered to come up with an ending, which is also another possibility, and that's not great either. But whatever the reason behind it, they decided to end this without presenting a resolution. And that means the children watching this will realise that there might not be a resolution. So why should they bother trying to work things out if there's not going to be a resolution? Where's the motivation to do the right thing if we're not seeing the right thing coming into fruition? What a terrible, terrible cartoon. As I said, the 95% before that, aside from the fact that they're encouraging children to find ways to excuse themselves when breaking the rules, other than that, it's a decent animation, encouraging thought, encouraging foresight. All of that is really great. And then at the end, it went, well, what does it matter? There's not a solution, so why bother trying to come up with one? How disgusting. So it's actually pretty terrible. It's a pretty horrific cartoon once you get to the end, because those last few seconds completely overrule the entire cartoon by saying, well, you've spent all this time trying to come up with a solution. There isn't one, so why waste your time? I don't know why they thought this was a good idea. What Should I Do? The game could have been good, but unfortunately it's full of really bad messages and ultimately a pretty damaging ending.